Season 35 just dropped, and yeah, you can see Master all the way. Shouldn't have any need to explain myself here. Gonna go over some insane replays with Red Dragon Archfiend. Gonna show a few combo lines, and then I'll go over the deck list with modifications that you should listen to. We're just gonna be going first here against Voiceless. We're starting out pretty simple. Normally I don't like showing going first, but they have a Maxx, so I feel like that is kind of an interesting and spicy game whenever you end up playing into Maxx. Very important, I actually kept Vision Resonator here because I already have the Crimson Gaia, and I might need it if they had some disruption to make at least a Scar Red, or maybe an Abyss, depending on however they negate it. Normally it would be, they negate Bone Archfiend, you make an Abyss anyways. Either way, we just go into an Abyss and a Dissipator. We're gonna go and add back a Vision Resonator so we can make the Auxilla, which just gives us access to nothing because they have an Effect Veiler, because obviously I'm playing on the Maxx and I should have really thought about it because they also have an Imperm that they were just holding on to for their own turn. So 0 disruptions against Voiceless Voice. That loses the game, correct? Correct, yes. Let's see what happens. So they're just doing the bread and butter basic no-brain combo, and have an Omni-negate, have this to return something that's special summoned, whatever. Like, don't think it works that way. Luckily, Auxilla, even though she's getting destroyed at the same time, still protects my back row. Wasn't fully aware how that would work out, so I think I activated the red zone, but obviously double called by the grave. Yeah, I got completely outplayed here, and then they go into a Typhon and return the Dissipator. Yeah, I mean, what do? We have an Abyss that can't activate its effect. Have to attack Ritual Monster, because that's how the archetype work. So I can't even attack the Typhon. But luckily, I mean, he did banish the Auxilla, even though I don't have the effect, I can at least bring it back. Yeah, now, like, the idea was to attack, but obviously he just summons the Skull Guardian, so now I can't attack other than Skull Guardian anyways. Obviously another Effect Veiler, I mean, that's what happens when you play into Maxx. Luckily I already have the Bone Archfiend, so I don't really care. At this stage I believe I'm just trying to recover my entire board because I can, so why shouldn't I? We are making a Dissipator here and then bringing back the Scar Red, and then we just should be fine. Just new board established. Good luck, opponent. I knew he had that in hand, and therefore I just played around with Call by the Grave on the ready. Else, yeah, you should have popped the Berry of the Voiceless otherwise. Just make sure to negate that. Ideally I wanted to force something out here so I could pop it with Dissipator, but it works fine. Here we can have an argument for why Dwell and Lockbird can be a very good card to run. I no longer run it though because of Tenpai meta, but ran it in this game, and I mean it kind of paid off. So there's an argument to be made that I should have just special summoned Crimson Resonator here, and it would probably have been the best play. There are many different lines I could have done here to some degree if I wanted to. I do reach a situation here where they Maxx, and now the only goal is, oh, I'm going second so I can attack directly. And I'm on the Maxx, so I should try and lethal them. So right now I'm completely tunnel visioning in on how can I deal lethal damage to them and just knock them out this turn. And for that we just go straight for a Dissipator with Scar Red, resummoning OD, Red Dragon Archfiend, popping their field, and then just go for the lethal. And obviously Dissipator to negate if they have a tier name that gets milled by the 3 cards here, or the 2 cards, sorry. They have nothing, and it's over. Let's have an incredibly tilting game against a Labrinth with Trudea in opening hand. Yeah, no, that's not fun. That is just not fun, honestly. Yeah, so I'm basically under skill drain. And I mean, what do you do here, right? You you try to do the best you can do. I can set Primera, but today is in hand, so I'm kind of locked out on that. And obviously they also have Maxx, so stuff just gets better, doesn't it? That's why I end up going for this. Kind of trying to go for some sort of lethal play, but that doesn't work out. At least I get an extra draw there, so I have some follow-up for another turn. Didn't want to kill the Duelist Worm because it would be able to send something from my field to the graveyard, and I kind of need it. Just if you were wondering why I didn't kept going. To some degree, it's actually really funny that Red Dragon Archfiend procs the Powsing Stone at the end there. Because now all of these things are activated, and I activate this better, he changed that. But that puts this up to 2, so it deals with everything else in the chain anyways. Chaos Angel no effect though, but it's still a Chaos Angel. Can technically pop it with Redstone long term. Also not sure why he would ever go for the normal Red Dragon Archfiend that just resulted into nothing. I mean, yeah, he sends the... I should probably have put in defense, but it wouldn't have mattered much. This pet also needed to be in defense, but I was going for the lethal damage before. This stage I decided to try and take out the Powsing Stone. Just so it allows me to actually activate my monster effects and try and set up something. But yeah, this is just Labrinth being incredibly annoying to face. We have the Crimson Gaia, so it can flip his entire field and deal with it if I need to. But first I'm gonna see what kind of plays I can make. Obviously, Ash Blossom. This sets up the possibility of bringing back this pet as much as I need to. Of course, he has the room. I actually misplayed around the room. There are so many other lines where if I knew they had the room, I could play around, but I just didn't really think about it. Unfortunately, that drags out the game a bit further. Decide to try and pop that, but then he just discards it anyways. I mean, at the end of the day, it serves the purpose for me, but he still gets to set a trap. Like, Labrinth could just be so frustrating to play against. Just in general. Yeah, return that and then wipe out my field and then look at all those look at all the chains. Like, what are you gonna do about that? Pops the red zone, so that's my grind game out of the way. Can't even protect it because everything is flipped down. Yep, that's the Crimson Gaia. That's horrible as well. Yeah, I think this game is over. I think that's what most people would be like. Yeah, you're not winning. They have established grind game. You just top deck the brick. How are you winning? Well, I'm gonna show you exactly how I'm winning. We send the loop. Vanish for some extra draw. That's that card in hand, but that's how it be sometimes. We just go straight for Scarlight to try and pop the field, but obviously he has another Daruma because of course he has. This time we actually played around it sufficiently, so we're just gonna go into Auxilla. Allow me to grab stand-up Centurion. Did we already? Yeah. So we just have to play it a bit more chill. Get rid of as many keycards as possible. He just resummons that really annoyingly. Can't pop that because I have Auxilla. He forgot about that. So we're just gonna be popping the lady. And extend our place into a proper board. Even Scarlight's back. And then the idea here is that we will set Primera so we can make Supernova Dragon and seal out the game. Most people saw my hand and what I had to deal with, plus the fact that they actually had a Daruma and they were just like, nah, there's no way you're winning this, but look at that. This game is going to be a bit out of chronological order from how other games happened, but I assume people want to see how Red Dragon Archfiend is doing in Tenpai meta, so let's get one of the 2 Tenpai games I have to show today out of the way. I will say, the problem with Tenpai games is that they aren't very interesting. Like, on a replay fundamental level, the only time they're interesting is, oh, I opened like all my Bystials and Centurion, but I have no access to Red Dragon Archfiend, so I don't really have access to any of my counters. So, a lot of Tenpai games is either just you set up and you win, or they stop you from setting up with hand traps and you lose. You have so many counters you can do to Tenpai, which we will go over in the deck list. Like we have built-in archetype red screen, just to name one quickly. And you establish the red screen with Auxilla, and they just can't get rid of it. And even if they somehow droplet the Auxilla, you have Red Dragon Archfiend that then also protects it. So they just can't out the red screen and then you win. Or... you know, they have everything and you lose. It's not very interesting. It's very quick and it's not interesting on a replay form is all I'm trying to say. Now we have a game here that is, however, very interesting, and I'm trying my best to just, I guess, buckle up so I can deal with them. The idea is that I wanna force them to make a bad play that locks them out of lethal with the Ball Drake Banish as soon as they go into a Synchro Monster, which will be right here. Literally just building a wall of Bystials here. Just trying to prevent them from outing my my entire board. Though it's a bit hard. It's a bit hard. Especially when they also had Droplet and Lightning Storm. They just didn't really expect the Auxilla. That's the other thing. They're having a hard time dealing with the back row that's face up due to Auxilla. And they can't really deal with Auxilla with the Raigeki because of the Primera, if you don't use Primera yet. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, we survived. We have access to Resonators, so we're just gaming now. Like, that's the thing. Red Dragon Archfiend and you're online, so we just win. That's literally what we're getting at here. So my plan is to literally go into an Abyss because I want that seals triggered so they can't do something when, you know, I wanna do something significant. But first we're just getting a Dissipator, just in case. So I'm actually planning to lethal him here. And also I would like to just get that banished so that my Dissipator negate is online just in case of, I don't know, whatever he has. But it's enough, it's lethal, and he's done for. Game was much harder than it needed to be just because I didn't have access to any Red Dragon Archfiend starters. And here we're gonna go first against Branded. We're gonna one-card combo with the Vision Resonator into Soul Resonator that then makes an Abyss Auxilla with Scarlight and then the option to go into Red Supernova Dragon on the enemy's turn. I don't think we need to see more of that. We all know the combo line for that. And of course at this stage we just make a Scarlight here and then we set back the Primera so we have some protection with Soul Resonator. If we had Red Zone would also be online here. We do not though. Gonna call by the grave on that. Allows us to draw. Was hoping to draw into a hand trap, but no luck with that. And he is about to pop off. So if he had Albalanatus, he could have just set and then like fusioned off my entire field and probably won the game. He did not appear to be running Albalanatus. He does have the call by the grave to stop me from bringing back the Dissipator. We just simply go into Crimson Dragon here. Since we do not have a red zone, Blazer is the best to go into. Also, Blazer is just really OP against the branded decks. Like, there's a situation where all the end of phase, like end of turn effects pop off and you just keep negating it with Blazer, which is really funny. They literally went through all the hoops ever, and then they just had branded fusion in hand anyway. So they just had literally everything. So they get rid of Abyss. Pop that, and then I believe they're setting a branded banishment in the end phase, which can get rid of most of the rest of the board. Yeah, so they're just gonna do that, to which I'll just maxi because, yeah, they're probably gonna be special summoning a bit, also because they're branded banishment. They made a Boiled Furious Dragon, which is really annoying since you can pop my Crimson Gaia. Luckily, I still have a Bone Archfiend in hand with a level 3, which, funny enough, that's the Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom carries. Actually sending another Resonator to level 1 to the graveyard just so I can enable Red Dragon. This is why I like running Chain Resonator as well. Chain Resonator allows some insane combos, but also it enables the Red Dragon that allows for this. Unfortunately, I no longer have a level 12 in my extra deck. Look at my extra deck. Look how many resources this game is taking out of me. Like, I am so barren on resources, it's actually insane. Like, my resources are drained, but I do have Red Supernova and I do have Blazar, so I'm chilling. Like, how much they can just do if they just have all the cards they need in hand. If I had not gone first, I don't think I could have won this game. Like, there are some games where I go first against Brandon and I'm like, easy game. But this guy had every single card he wanted and played it, I would say, almost perfectly. Except the fact he didn't have Resonators in his extra deck. He gets rid of my red zone very annoyingly. And then I believe he plans to get rid of the Crimson guy as well, but I'm not too sure. This stage, just forcing out the Red Supernova so he can use his branded Fusion again. You see, this could be really dangerous. So even like, my extra deck is empty, right? I've used everything I pretty much could. And this guy, he's still playing. Like, this is the grind game right now. Had to actively use the Blazar there because, yeah, else it was gonna get banished. Can't let that happen. Else it won't return in the end phase like that. This is before Kui Belt, so using Ancient Pixie Dragon, just if anybody were wondering. Yeah, he just returned Mirror Jade to banish again. Like, again, would like to point out my extra deck is empty. I have like nothing. And this is where we see Blazar pop off of it. Just, oh, you have another effect. I could have actually activated it there, but I'm like, I'm gonna just wait on the Albus. And he realizes that, yeah, there's no way he wins now. Just gonna have a game here against Voiceless Voice, and unlucky for me, they have this one-off that they use Divine of the Herald to send normally to the graveyard for the entire combo thing. They just have that in hand so they can dodge the Imperm. Luckily we have a Bystial so we can get rid of the only low they seem to have. And let's just see how it looks on my turn. So I saw them add a Saurvis to hand, so I'm grabbing the Ball Drake. Simply so I can banish it when they summon it, so it allows me to still go into Auxilla. This will give them another deactivated Skull Guardian though. And this one was summoned using Blessing of the Voiceless, so it cannot be destroyed by battle, which is something I didn't notice at the time. Either way we go slab over as much as we can, and honestly there's a very good argument to be made for me shotgunning the Phalanx on the Skull Guardian, except I guess they get to summon something new, so maybe not. Maybe it's a horrible idea. But that puts me in a bit of a checkmate situation, because they're gonna summon low and then, yeah, their negate is ready, so I guess checkmate it to a degree. I really don't think I could Phalanx it, honestly. Which leads us to this situation. And then I have to Phalanx my own Supernova. Just trying to put up some bodies to block some of their attacks so I don't die. He still just gets rid of pretty much everything, and it's looking a bit troublesome here. Like, what could I top deck? What could I possibly top deck? You know, there's something we haven't seen this entire game, and that's called access to the Red Dragon Archfiend engine. And look who just drew access to the Resonators. I did, which means we have access to our Red Dragon Archfiend engine. Gonna just send Bone Archfiend, because with this exact play we can't do the Crimson Resonator anyway, so Bone Archfiend is the best send. Luckily Auxilla protects that, even though they're trying to pop them at the same time. Just how that works. Just a really safe play, and as a result we now have actual engine, like access to our actual deck, you know. We just wipe out the entire field on the chain lock, so the thing is, they couldn't negate, because then I Supernova wipe the field and win anyways. So they just lost. Here we have one of the best hands you could probably have. Special summon Crimson Resonator, normal summon Bone Archfiend. But because we have the field spell, we're gonna make a completely different line here than what we would usually do. Normally, you would make an Abyss, then you would special summon this Dissipator, add it back. Bone Archfiend can special summon, lower the level of the Crimson Resonator, send Ur Loop, and then make Red Rising, bring back level 1, then you can special summon Ur Loop, and then make Supernova Dragon. Then you still have the Dissipator, you can bring back the Abyss, you add back Vision Resonator from the grave with the Synchron Resonator when you made the Supernova, and then you have Auxilla. But instead we are making a bit of a different line. Also, you would end on Scar Red when you do the Centurion place there, but since we're making Scar Red early and have this line available with the field spell, we'll have a Bystial Dissipator, and we'll have the Scar Red in the graveyard, so when something gets popped on the enemy's turn, we're cruising, we have access to the Scar Red as well that way. So this is just a better line that you can only do if you also have the field spell, or like access to the field spell rather. Turbo the Supernova out with Dissipator, and then we're obviously gonna get the Abyss here, as I said. And then we set the Centurion stuff and just make an Auxilla. Again, normally you would make Scar Red, like you would obviously not have the Dissipator, and then you would add the stuff and make Scar Red instead. But again, we did the deviation and made a better board, all things considered. And as soon as we pop something on their field, we get access to Red Zone Pop and the Soul Resonator protection if we need it. You might have noticed how I went first, and yeah, that's why I'm showing a game where I went first without any disruption. Also the Maxx. Now this is a very interesting game, and I'm just gonna spoil it. They're gonna summon Psychic and Punisher. Red Dragon Archfiend can't really out that. Like, it's really hard. Our best bet of outing it is actually summoning Supernova before it gets too much attack, and then crash into it, lowering our own life points to make it affected, and then we can out it once it's affected by our stuff. The problem is they're lowering their life points so quickly, and because it's their turn and they're summoning a Psychic and Punisher, no real way of dealing with it, and it's mainly because they have Superpoly. Surprisingly, and by surprisingly I mean not really, Red Dragon Archfiend is very weak to Superpoly. Despite that, we can still win a lot of games because we have a good amount of grind game. But you can see here, they're already down to 3000 HP, and now this just has way too much life to out. And they decide to also just prevent me from summoning the Supernova with the big attack boost that, you know, if anything, on my turn I could have done the maybe crashing into it, and then that way I don't even think I would die actually. Now that I'm thinking about, they would get 5000 attack, right? No, I could probably, yeah, I could if they hadn't banished Called by the Grave, sorry, the Supernova, I could have traded into the Psychic and Punisher, lowering my own life points enough for it to be affected and then out it. But because they literally Called by the Grave, I don't really have a play style I can do here that would allow me to out the Psychic and Punisher this game at all. Like, just straight up this entire game I can't do it, so I'm gonna wall up with Chaos Angel that is summoned with Dark. Like, I could unfortunately not do the light one, but at least it's protected from, like, protecting my entire field from battle, which is just really good. And we're just, again, building as much of a board as we can here. And I do have some strategies. Like, we still summon back the Red Supernova Dragon, right? Because why wouldn't we? It gets its effect back on his turn. Maybe it can clear a lot of his stuff. Like, actually, that would have been a 9000 attack Supernova Dragon that could have traded in. That would, obviously, theirs would have gotten 5000 more attack. But would that even... Maybe Supernova would have been too strong. Not really sure. Not something we need to do calculations on. Don't need to do unnecessary math here. We are just gonna be doing the best we can here. So obviously we're just gonna stop that Dogaris, and you can see how much attack it has now because they're down to 1000. Now we have a very goated card that we are running, even though some people might opt to not run it, and that is called Scarlight. I love Scarlight. Scarlight is amazing, and if you ever find yourself in a situation where, like, you want to run Absolute Power Force for these kind of situations, like there's a Crook and you want out it, you can just be creative with Scarlight, and as you saw here, Scarlight did the job just fine. Don't need any meme cards, and also Absolute Power Force wouldn't have done anything to Psychic End Punisher. So we open Soul 1 card combo here with a Bystial, so we can do a slight deviation of plans. I'm just gonna point out when it pops up, and then we're skipping ahead. So instead of making a Dissipator here, we are making a Bane to go into the Auxilia. And at this stage, we just add Trap with Primera because we don't need Wake Up. Since we can just make a Dissipator here and then special summon the Scarlet, which is just better than anything else we could have done with what we had. Now again, what did I tell you guys about me going first? Yeah, there's something that's gonna spice it up, like a Superpoly with 3 targets. Yeah, I bet you didn't expect that. We do have Maxx, so we can do some sort of things. Also, we definitely don't want to be floodgated. This is a Kashtira deck, by the way. So, Kashtira is a sort of floodgate deck, let's be honest. Like, their boss monsters are floodgate, they like to play floodgates. And this version is literally getting carried by Superpoly. So there is that. At this stage I literally just paid out. I don't know if you saw, but when they did the pod, they revealed 2 more Superpolies, right? And then they added 1. So I wanted to bait it out instantly so I could make some other plays like this. Now I get rid of this because that means that I can summon a Supernova Dragon here. Because we do have Red Zone, and Supernova Dragon tends to just solo any Kashtira deck in general. So that's usually my frame of reference with that Supernova is just insane against them, even if I don't have the second one. To some degree, maybe I should have just let them copy the Supernova effect and then just not activate anything, but I mean, I knew they were Kashtira, but they just had the best card in their hand, like last. Just special summon it and easy game. And now I'm floodgated by their boss monster to some degree. Also, the thing that stinks the most, he attached Supernova Dragon, so I can't red zone it back. And then obviously this comes back. Now that's a problem. Yeah. Just how it happens. I don't want him attaching the Dissipator, that's why I used the red zone. I don't want him to get 3 materials either, so... Just gonna set it up like that. That's the best I could do with him floodgating and him having the Predaplant boss go into Scarlight, just to have the Red Dragon Archfiend name on the field. There is an argument that if we hadn't used Bane earlier, we could recover better, but it's like, you don't know you're gonna get against double Poly, like double Superpoly, right? You don't know that. And he ends up just taking the way out. This is an awful hand if I win first. It's also an awful matchup because they're Yubel. Yeah, what you gonna do? Like, going first Yubel, really hard to deal with. There's a reason why they were like tier 1 until Tenpai came out and took tier 1 technically. But if you think about it, Tenpai is tier 1 currently on Master Duel meta. But that is in tournaments, community tournaments, where it's best of 3. It's even more broken in best of 1. I would argue it's tier 0 right now. Honestly. Best of 1 format, it's tier 0 right now in Master Duel. Either way, we did the best we could with what we were given. And this is actually after Tenpai has been released. And I think I'm only running 2 Dwalin Lockbirds in this deck. As a result, to make room for some of the anti-Tenpai stuff. I need to summon the Druiswyrm here because that way I can get rid of his Unchained Soul of Rage either way it goes. Forcing that out as well. And now we have just about everything we want. Like literally full combo, like the world is our oyster. Until, guessed it, Superpoly. Also have to play around that. However, running Flame Crime because, again, Tenpai meta. I'm gonna send a very spicy card to my graveyard right now, which also proves, yes, Rise to Full Heights, Tenpai meta. Already adjusted to it. At this stage they realize I have full combo and I'm gonna OTK them. This game is gonna be against Tenpai, and we are lucky enough to have opened red screen. Also, I have very, very sad news. They got an impermanence in hand. Yeah. So even though we had access to Resonator engine, like Red Dragon Archfiend stuff, yeah, they just locked it all away with that. Again, luckily we have red screen. And we still have Centurion. This is why Centurion is so good to run in the deck, because even if you're completely shut down at the worst choke point with your current hand, you can just at least secure that you get your Red Supernova boss monster out, or maybe a Blazer Dragon, depending. But yeah, very bad situation, because yeah, they also had the Magna mod, right? Like that's not good. That's not good for me. Field spell, literally the world is their oyster. Also dig for 6, get the option to pick any card they want that is like absolutely broken for them in their current situation. Like Superpoly. You know, Superpoly is pretty good, right? So, in response to seeing Superpoly, I'm like, well, I can't make a dragon now, can I? They make Black Rose Dragon, to which I flip up the red screen, because if that resolved like that, red screen would still survive due to Auxilla's effect. That is why he does the droplet, but he does a mistake. He sends the Black Rose Dragon so I can call by the Graveyard, which means I survive and I have red screen. And usually, like especially when they've committed for something like a Black Rose Dragon, they can't really do anything else. And then on my turn, I have all my resonator stuff, so I just start comboing off and I win. Last video had some complaints about me not showing the Gigaline properly, so I'll just do it in one go. And you guys can pay attention and like rewatch the video and whatnot to make sure you memorize this line. And might not say much because I want to focus. Also ignore the gargoyle, it's like my PvE test deck. Don't need to worry about that if you see it in, I guess, any of the other lines I'm showing. Either way, just want to show this so that people feel like, yeah, I showed it in one go, and they can always just look back at it and see it without like some interruptions of a match happening, and like, you know, just for people that actually want to see it full. Don't know if that makes sense, but I definitely had at least a few complaints about not doing it in one go. Might be a bit too confusing for people to learn, I would assume. Obviously our 2 cards in hand are just gonna be the discards. Obviously, if you have Lubellion, you would return the Scar Red for a draw, and there are like other things when you have access to Branded Regain, and you would also have made the Dissipator with the Lubellion. But I'm just showing the most basic version of this. Obviously, the Bystial you would add if you had Lubellion in your opening hand is probably Sauronir, so you can send a new Lubellion if that's the one you're using to banish from the graveyard to, I guess, kind of start the combo after special summoning Crimson Resonator. But it does require 5 cards in hand to do this entire combo, something worth keeping in mind. And then, yeah, like lastly we would summon Scar Red if we could here, but we don't really have access to it because we didn't have the Lubellion plays. But I don't think I really need to show the Lubellion plays, right? Like this should be good enough. I'm sure people can figure out the Lubellion interaction, or you can watch the last video where I showed specifically the Lubellion interaction. And then obviously on enemy turn you want to toggle on. And then this would ideally be a Scar Red if, again, if you had Lubellion and could use Branded Regain to draw a card and send it back. Would also make it a bit more lenient in the sense that you have an extra card to play with. Worst case scenario and you don't have Lubellion, you can just wait until you get the chance to pop something on the field, and then that is how you can get the Scar Red, I guess. So that is also, of course, an option. Also ignore the Red Nova Dragon, it's my PV test deck. I've said this before, I think. But that's it. Now, you would be surprised to realize that since last time I made a video, I've noticed insane Gigaline you can do with the Centurion field spell opener, or at least like access to that. It becomes significantly more powerful when you have access to the Crimson Gaia or Vision Resonator. So right now I'm gonna set the field spell. Obviously there's so many other things I could do with Void Apocalypse as well, but I want to show just this line. So we special summon Crimson Resonator. Crimson Gaia, we add a Vision Resonator. We need it in graveyard, essentially, for this to work. Obviously, Void Apocalypse could also have just sent it. And now we have Red Zone, Crimson Gaia access. Plus, here we're gonna be doing something a bit interesting. If I recall, I need to use this to make a Scar Red. Yeah, we turbo Supernova with this line. That's usually like the actual Giga lines you Turbonova. Turbonova. No, you turbo a Supernova. So we have not used the normal summon, which is where my love for Chain Resonator comes in, because it allows so many insane boards that I just absolutely love to play. So yeah, turbo the Supernova. So it already you can see the similarities with the other Gigaline, like Crimson Resonator, Vision Resonator, and Bystial, right? That combo. You can already see the similarities here. That yeah, I'm a bit distracted. I'm trying to not mess up this line. Special summon the Soul Resonator, which allows me to add the Bone Archfiend. Need to discard a card for the Bone Archfiend, though. Obviously, we had access to it with Void, but we're just ignoring the last two cards and their discards. This is where the line would deviate depending on if you had access to Crimson Gaia or not. And if you didn't have it, because I'll show you how you do it when you have it, you would simply level down the Soul Resonator using the Bone Archfiend effect, and you would send the Vision Resonator so that you have Crimson Gaia and Red Zone. Then Soul Reso plus Bone would make Red Rising, and Red Rising would bring back Synchron Resonator. You would use OG Red Dragon Archfiend with the Synchron Resonator to make the Abyss. Then you would add back the Vision Resonator, you would use Chain Resonator plus the Abyss to make a Bane. You tribute Red Rising to special summon an Abyss, so you still have the Abyss effect. And then you can special summon the Vision Reso to make Auxilia with Bane. And then you can add Phalanx, if you didn't already have it, of course. But I bet you guys just want to see how this Gigaline works. You level up the Chain Resonator, that's different from leveling down the Soul, right? And then you'll obviously want to send Overloop because you had the access. So we're leveling that up. You'll use Chain plus Bone. Summon back, I guess, Crimson Resonator. Abyss like this. Good manners when you have a Supernova to put Abyss in defense mode. Just saying. You just have the Dissipator, and then you can be like, where's the Auxilia? You need the Auxilia. Yeah, we're getting to that. This is very basic when you have access to Overloop. Just simply banish the Scar Red. When you banish another card, can be the Red Rising or whatnot. It's important that if you do banish Scar Red, that's the one you would want to bring back, because you want that to be in your graveyard so you can access your other Red Dragon Archfiend. Also, since this is my PV deck, there is a Red Nova Dragon in the extra deck, don't worry about it. And then we want to toggle on, and you want to make your settings so that you can do the toggle on feature on their turn. After the Crimson Dragon, you can turn it to auto, but right now we need to summon the Crimson Dragon here. So good manners to do this one at a time if you can, because then you play around Maxx, but you can also just do it in a chain, but then you risk the Maxx. Just adding another field spell, why not? Might be useful for discard fodder. And then at this stage we have Crimson Dragon into Blazer, and then as soon as they would activate a monster effect on the field or something, we would try and aim for popping that just to enable the Red Zone pop. But there you go, that's the Giga Centurion line combo, at least the dream situation where we have the 3 cards. Let's pretend that you're basically breaking on Chain Resonator, but you do have access to the field spell. I'll show you a line that not as good as the Crimson Resonator one, but this will let you play pretty insanely and recover pretty well. Let's just discard that. Obviously that is not something you should discard, but again, showcasing here. We would add Wake Up Centurion because we need it here, but we already have it in opening hand, so we can just add Phalanx. It's fine. Wake Up level 4. We're also just gonna pretend we don't have access to Vision Resonator with this line. And then, very interesting, we make Scarlight right here. Then we'll summon a Crimson Resonator. Then we make Abyss. This is how we would access the Vision Reso. We have Dragon Archfiend. And then interestingly enough, we can actually use the today on field to do this play. So we're just gonna do that for the showcase of this. And then this is something pretty unique. We're gonna make Soul Resonator level 4, sending a Whirloop to the graveyard. Then we're gonna make a Red Dragon, I believe, with the Vision and Bone Archfiend. And then summon back the Vision, I believe, yeah. This gives us our Crimson Gaia Red Zone Access, and we can make a Scar Red here. And then we can use that to go into Auxilla and Dissipator. And you might notice a certain thing. We sent Tudea, so why did we do that? Like, how are we gonna access the extra stuff, right? Well, we did send the Whirloop to the graveyard, which allows us to do something really interesting. And that is to banish the Scar Red. And we're actually in a situation here where, because we're gonna have a Whirloop on the field if we want, we can choose to set Primera and or Tudea, like whichever one we want is fine. Like, you can do this, and then let's just... can also do Scarlight, can also do whatever have you. But then we literally have access here to either doing the Scar Red if we want to, and then get an OG Red Dragon Archfiend, or ideally we just do the Tudea. You could also have just discarded a card you didn't need, which also would have been fine. And then here's another way to also remember to enable Dissipator. Obviously on enemy turn, we will be making a Crimson Dragon like usual, but a bit unique that you actually use today and that you level up the Soul Resonator, of all things. But yeah, simply just today, level 8, and then we have Crimson Dragon here. And as soon as Crimson Dragon effect is used, you can toggle to auto if you prefer that. So right here. Very important, we target the level 12, and then here's our Supernova. So, pretty good recovery, all things considered. Pretty strong board for like chain plus field spell. Don't know if there's anything better you could do with it, but this is what I've cooked up, and I really like what I've been doing. Before I go over all the cards, I'll show some adjustments you should probably make, unless you're confident in Chain Resonator. You can keep Chain Resonator if you feel confident in using it, but otherwise I would cut it down like this, and then you could add like Effect Veiler. If you like Effect Veiler, you can, obviously not showing up when you search like that, but you can add like 3 Effect Veiler, then you can add like Ghost Ogre, which is probably better to do like this maybe, or whatever you feel like in these spots. Now I'll go over all the cards. So we have Curry Photon. This is an anti-Tenpai tech. You really don't have to run this unless you see Tenpai like all the time. Synchron Resonator, Chain Resonator, 3 Maxx's, 1 Crimson Resonator, 2 Vision Resonator, 1 Red Lotus King Flame Crime, 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. These are again a flex spot. I feel like they're really good right now, so I'm running them even though I don't even have them in foil. So they stand out in my deck currently. Then 3 Ash Blossoms, 2 Soul Resonator, 1 Obsessive Whirloop, 3 Bone Archfiends, 1 Centurion Primera, 1 Centurion Tudea, 3 Earthbound Prisoner Sweeper. They basically Resonator call, but they also work as Bystial target and stuff. Bystial Magnemud, Bystial Saunier, Bystial Druisrium, Bystial Baldrake, 3 Bystial Lobelians, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Resonator Call, 3 Stand-Up Centurion, 2 Void Apocalypse, 1 Branded Regained. I'm running 3 Crimson Gaia, but you should only really run 2, honestly. It's just I really like my 3rd Crimson Gaia for some reason. You have 2 Called by the Grave, you have a Cross-Out Designator, you have 3 Emblema Oath. You could cut these in a budget deck, same with the Sweeper, or like cut down to maybe 1 or something. There's some adjustments you could do for a budget deck, but I recommend you run 3 of each, obviously. Wake Up Centurion, you could cut Wake Up Centurion, possibly Phalanx for Gargoyle, if you want to figure out how that works. Then we have Rise to Full Height, which is our target for the Flame Crime. We send that, and then what you can do is you can banish it from the graveyard, or if for some reason you can't discard it, you can set it on the field, use it, then banish it from the graveyard in the same turn. You do this on the opponent's turn, then you target, I believe, Tudea or Primera if you're synchroing them off. Or you could target something else, or if you don't have access to that, if they shut you down, you can just target a monster, and then once they kill that monster, they can't attack you anymore, and then it's your turn and you win, you know. You know the drill, basically, at that stage. Infinite Impermanence times 3, then you have a Centurion Phalanx, then you have Red Screen, then you have Red Zone. For extra deck, you have 2 Red Rising Dragon, you have 1 Creepelt, you have 2 OG Red Dragon Archfiend. Some people decide to cut 1 for Legacia or Baron de Fleur. I would personally not recommend that, but do whatever you want, I guess. Here's Scarlight, we have a Scar Red, then we have an Abyss. Then I like Bane because it allows for some line adjustments and just allows for some recovery stuff and a lot of things, in my opinion. So I would much rather run this than a Baron de Fleur or Legacia, but that would be the other spot you could run there. Then we have Dispater, Chaos Angel, Blazar Dragon, Red Supernova Dragon, Crimson Dragon, and Auxilla. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you again next time.